truth, and there's a lot of power in that. So, just want to give you your flowers. I'm gonna send Sister Angelique a request to come on. All things healing, all things
Oh, I was gonna
and
say I
bring.
can see you.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes. Hold on, let me turn the light
Yes,
on.
okay. We talk all things healing, expansion, and growth, and we bring just real life experiences that we are having. Hey, Lisa, to this space, and we just heal through conversation. I do believe that as we heal individually, we send out a ripple to affect the collective and just being the example of nothing more of what healing looks like. And it bleeds into that curiosity to want to explore on their own. Hey Helen,
Mhm.
Sister Angelique, happy Saturday.
Yes. Hey, hey, y'all. Happy Saturday. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to see you. I'm low key shook. I was,
Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
I'm gonna go in here and we'll see what's happening. But yes, happy Saturday, y'all. Welcome to Hilly Conversations. Make sure y'all get up in the comments. Lisa, Latasha, Helen, hey. We love hearing your feedback, your questions, your comments. This is a healing space for us all, as Raymel so beautifully mentions. And I'm just really grateful to be here. And yeah, I'm glad to
Yes, and if
see
you
you.
feel called, definitely send an invitation and come to the virtual stage. We love to
Hmm.
hear from you. Sister Angelique always and I always say that we are no experts. We're on this journey, healing and expanding and growing just as you are. So we learn through your contribution, through what may come through for you that you want to add to the conversation. So
Hmm.
without further ado, let's get this conversation started because it's gonna be
Yes.
juicy. I feel like this conversation it's like it's a shift in normally what we talk about, but I feel like it's aligned with what we talk about. But
Mm.
it's gonna be really impactful. So I'll let Sister Angelique lead it off because she
Yes.
was the one who was inspired by the conversation.
Yes. So Brother Raymel was like, "What do you want to talk about today?" And I had been looking at this paper where I have my abundant life goals written and saved, and I hang it up when I was living at the Union Rescue Mission shelter in Skid Row. It was one of the things I had in my bed space to look at and like read and keep me grounded and keep me focused. Like this was a really integral part of my hope for life, you know? And recently I was reviewing it because as I moved and life has been kind of busy, it's been more of a like a wall piece. So when I was like really reading through it again, I was like, some of these things have shifted a little bit, like not dramatically, but some of the things have shifted. And when Raymel asked, "What would you like to talk about today?" that moment came up for me, and I was like, let's talk about sticking with our purpose and not getting stuck to the plans that we make. Because,
I just clap on that. I
yes,
just clap on that.
take a moment because that it hit me. Because I almost had a little fight with myself where I was like, "Oh no, this," because this was a part of the Lisa Nichols Abundance Now class, and I felt like very aligned when I was writing it down. And so I was like, "No, I can't." And I think I have it right here. Yep, because I'm gonna rewrite it. And I had, and I was like, "No, I can't change this. I have to like be consistent with it. It has to be this. It has to be what's on this paper specifically." And then my learned self from these days, I was like, what's really changing here? And when I thought about it, nothing was really changing that much because my purpose for doing these things is to be a light in the world. My purpose for
Mm,
doing these things is to have a life where I feel loved, where I feel at peace, where I feel like I have a community and things are beautiful. I want my life to feel nurturing. I want my relationships to be budding because I'm changing, they're changing. You know, I want my life to be full in that way, to be rich in that way. So if there are like certain names of places or numbers of acres for land or, like little things like that, they can change, like the names of organizations or programs, like those things can shift and change because the purpose behind whatever specific activity or whatever relationship setup, that was another reason I have to change this because it says partner and not partners. That's another conversation we can have another day. But I was like, the point of my life is to still be a light, be in love, and enjoy, and I can rewrite that and still hang it up and reread it because I used to read it every day. But then again, once I shifted into some new things, that part of my practice fell away a little bit, but this is reinvigorating it, right? Now that I can really reconnect with what the actual goal and the purpose for these plans was. So I'll end that there. But yeah, let me know what you got, Brother Rainbow.
When I tell you, I love everything about this, and a little tear came out for me. And the reason being is I love it is because how you broke it down and said, my purpose is to be a light, is to be loved, to have nurturing relationships and all the things. And it made me just reflect real quick, like in this moment of when I first started learning about the law of attraction and energy and the universal laws in 2019. And I was like, it's something in me that lit me up this, like, I want to share this with the world. I want the world to know about this and how powerful they are so I can support them on their journey of expansion and growth. But then as life happened, like, it started to detour. I started to get into the healing realm. So I'm like, well, am I supposed to be helping people heal? Like, is that supposed to be the path and the calling? And then I got into the public speaking coaching. I'm like, well, am I supposed to help people share their message and speak on stages? And I found myself drifting along this journey of things that intrigued me, and there was this curiosity within me that made me kind of question, like, am I sticking to a plan? Am I just floating in the water hoping to land somewhere? Or do I have a direction in which I'm going? And I connected with what you shared in regard, like, I'm just here to be a light. I'm just here to be loved. And for me, one thing I've realized that hasn't changed is the foundation of me bringing awareness to energy, me bringing awareness to mindset, me reminding people how powerful they are and who they are. And that's one thing that has always been like the anchor that's kept me grounded in this navigation of life. And I haven't been derailed to like, well, let me go and now I'm in this fitness realm or in this, because even that's come about for me because that has been a way that I've served others and I've supported and even generated money. But sticking to a plan, that plan in that room, I was supposed to be this celebrity fitness coach and I was gonna have all these celebrity clients and all the things. But I realized it didn't light me up. I love to be of service. I like to help people, but in that realm and way, it wasn't what I felt called to. And a lot of times we get stuck to, well, this is what it is. And if I really want to speak to the truth of it, hey, Joynetti, the truth of it is a lot of times we stick to a plan because others, we're wanting to impress them or make them happy and make them proud. So we neglect what makes us fulfill, what brings that joy within us as we're just providing that service or doing that thing, and we start to live for others. That was me in the modeling realm. I modeled for 10 years, but I would say like 5 years into it, I was not really connected to it. But everyone knew me as this model. The model Ray Mel, the model Ray Mel. And that's why I'm like, well, shit, if I stop modeling, who am I? How are they going to know me? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to be proud of me? So I stayed in it longer than what I felt called to because I was trying to impress them. I was trying to stick to a plan that I feel like I created, but they took the pen and started to write out for me. Hey,
Li-
Sylvie. And
listen.
that's where I had to like really like just really get you right now. That is, and this isn't fulfilling you. And when we're willing to let go of the outside expectation of who they feel we are and what they feel like we should do, and we start to really ask like, what do I feel called to do? What excites me? What ignites me? What pulls me to want to explore and master?
Mm.
Because a lot of the greats that we see, they took something, they studied it, they became the best at it, and then now they're sharing that gift, sharing that light with confidence. And they're not doubting it. They're not letting people say, hey, well, you should do it this way. You should do it this, you shouldn't do it this way. This is right, this is wrong. They're like, I know what I know. And I know who I am. And I won't let any outside noise detour me from being myself and sharing myself with the world. So it really hit what you said, because that has been like what I had to deal with, but what I'm no longer stuck in. So I just love that this is what we're talking about, because the plan is the plan,
Mm.
but it's not in concrete. But the purpose, that's something that can't change, because as our mentor, Reverend Michael Beckwith said, our purpose is for us to express and be that living image of the source. That's our true purpose, and anything else is just an added bonus that we add to the recipe to serve to the world. I'll end it there.
Yes. When you said we pick a story and then like give other people the pen, I forgot specifically how you phrased it, but it's crazy how that hit me because we really do say, okay, it's like, I don't know if you guys know anything about video games, but sometimes you get to build a character, right? For the Sims specifically, you get to pick like personality traits and interests and hobbies. It's very detailed and gets very nerdy. But you get to build this character and then you get to play. And what hit me so hard was thinking about building a character and then letting someone else play it. And we're doing that with ourselves. We build up like, okay, listen, from source spirit, I'm gonna be a dark-skinned woman who is non-conforming with the clothes or whatever. She has gauges, and this is what she looks like, this is what she likes, this is her temperament, this is what her pet peeves are. And then, okay, I'm like, okay, I'm here in this life, I'm now a full grown adult, right? I've had some life experience, I've matured into my adult humanity, and now I'm letting someone else tell me where I should be going, what I should be wearing, who I should be with, what job I should be doing. Like, wow, the way that just hit me so hard, Raybell. And that's how I have spent many years of my life. And I know that's how many of us have spent years of our lives. And I'm blessed to have come across these insights from personal development, this wisdom from the new thought and um, the science of mind, like those different types of things, so that I could regain my self autonomy, right? Because I was like 24 when I started kind of getting myself into understanding how to control my mind and not have it taken over by everything else. But a lot of people are in their 40s, 50s, 60s and are still playing a character that somebody else is playing for them. And it's, wow. It just amazes me. It just amazes me because this information, this knowledge, like Reverend Michael Agape has been around for almost 40 years. The Secret came out, and Lisa Nichols is like all on so many stages and doing so many programs and things. Like, this information is out here. These opportunities are out here, but are we really allowing ourselves to have that tough look, like when I had to toughly look at this list of goals and say, wait, this isn't it. This life I've been living, somebody else has been writing it for me. These goals that I have, they're from a version of me where I thought I had to be a doctor, I had to be a mom, I had to own a mansion, you know. I don't need to keep these same goals because I've tapped into this higher understanding of myself. I understand that I'm here to enjoy life. I understand that my purpose is to be an expression of God. I understand that being of service is not the foundation of who I am and what I do for service, how I show up in the world, whether it's a cook or a model or a fisherman or a makeup artist or whatever. That is an expression of who I am. It is not who I am. So who I am doesn't change.
Rewind that, because I feel like that went over somebody's heads, and I need to hear that again. So I'm just saying, can you tell the people what you say?
For sure. So whether you're a makeup artist or you are a fitness coach or you are a mama, happy Mother's Day, y'all. That
Yes.
is an expression of who you are. It is not who you are. It is not who you are. What we are, who we are, is an expression of source. So anything that's outside of us that is an expression is like a dilution, you know? Because we are the original expression of source. And then anything we use with that creative power, that's a secondary expression. But we always have to remember that we are the center, we are the core. And I'll end it there because, yeah.
I'm just speechless. So I need to take this in. Let Sumi know what the topic is, because I think she sent the
Yeah.
request. I'm asking.
So the topic officially is living in purpose and not getting stuck to a plan. So sticking to purpose and not getting stuck to plans is
Accept
the
your request,
topic.
Sumi.
Okay.
There she goes.
Okay. The blanket
But
list
that was
off.
so powerful what you just shared, and I knew that this. Hey, Sumi, can you see us?
I can see you. Can you
I feel
guys
like
see
that's
me
the
now?
question we always gotta ask now to do like a check-in. Can you see my face? I just hear my voice because it's gonna be either both or one or the other.
It's energy.
Oh my God! But
It's the energy.
I love that piece that you left, Sister Angelique, because I feel like it's where a lot of people get lost. We get lost in these identities. We get lost in these labels. We get lost in these perceptions of what others think of who we are. She'll be back. Who is that? DDL. I don't know who that is. And I'm so weary of new people. What's the I don't even know if it's a troll or if it's an actual contribution. I need to see an engagement in the comment first.
Right, you gotta introduce yourself first. Don't just request to come up. We don't know your name. You just coming in the house, stomping around. No, go ahead.
Yes. But then when we get lost in these at times, like just this outer this idea, I should say, that this outer world of the characters that we play, the labels that we hold, the things that we've done, the things that people want us to do, we get lost in feeling like that is who we are and who we have to be and all that we can be. So I just love that you brought that, like that's just an expression of, it's an expression, but it's not who we are. And I think the more we become aware of that, the more we start to honor that. We don't get lost in this box. Because so many people are in these boxes of like, well, you have to be this way if you are this label of mother. You have to do these things, say these things, live this way and all these things. Or you have to be this way if you're this label as a man, or label as a woman, or label as this, or label as that. And we get lost in that. And even when we're talking about like just allowing yourself to be in the purpose but not get lost in the plan, we often don't even know what that purpose is because of just what was fed to us as children of like, well, You, in order to be successful, you must be a doctor, you must be a lawyer, you must be this corporate CEO, or you must be this athlete or superstar. And all these people over here trying to live a purpose that ain't even theirs. Like, well, I see so many people that are trying to be these professional athletes, and they realize that isn't what was their calling was. So what happens? Now they're on the sideline, but they're not giving energy to who they can be, which is a star in their own unique way, sharing their own unique gifts. But they're like, but I didn't make it to this level of what my purpose was or my plan was, of what the roadmap was given to me. So now let me just be on the sideline. I'm going to tell everybody else how they should be. Hey, Sister Jess, how they should be, who they should be, what they're doing, but they're not doing anything fulfilling within themselves. And I got to keep it real. I had my season of reality shows and the gossip and all of that, and I was over here talking about everybody else's life. And I think I had an epiphany. I was like with a friend one time, and we was watching Love and Hip Hop, I think, or one of the two. And he has so much to say about these people. And I just had this thought, I'm like, is this changing your life? Is this bringing value to your life? Why do you know more about their life than you know about your own? And I, like, from that moment, I'm like, I need to stop watching this. So I literally started to dwindle away. And I noticed when I dwindled away from watching that type of just TV and being in that type of energy, that friendship then dwindled away. Because we weren't in alignment anymore, because that's where I was, but it wasn't where I was going. And I had to be willing to release the plan of this is who I started with, so this is who I'm going to end with, and be open to let who will fill that spot come in that was more in alignment with my growth, my expansion. So I just love that you brought that in, because it really resonated, because I feel like a lot of people are just so attached to what others want them to be that they will never get a chance to be all that they can be, or even discover who they truly are beyond the limitation of those boxes. So when you thinking, what's flowing through that universe of mine right
now? I was far away, but I was hearing everything you were saying. That's funny. So where this is actually taking me is at the beginning of the year, when I just got tired, and I'm talking 5-6 months ago. I just got tired of everything, and I was like, you know what am I going to do? I've got all these talents and all these skills, right? We're talking still on the topic, who am I? Yes, there were parts of me that were being fulfilled. I was a happy mother. I was, working in the tech field off and on. I was building my identity. I've always been building my identity ever since the day I was born. Crazy enough, crazy as it sounds. I'm thinking about it right now. Like, how long have I been doing this? Oh my goodness. I remember doing this when I was 4, when I was 5. So we've always been building up to something. Everybody's always looking for something and wanting to be something and wanting to do something. To the point that earlier this year and late last year for me, I had that struggle in that perception. And I was like, well, I'm putting out my videos here, and I'm starting this business idea here, and I am also wanting to work in tech. Why can't I just do all of these things all at once? And then something whispered to me and said, you can actually get to do it all at the same time. How about this idea? Put out one video for each, and just send it out into the universe. Go on Twitter and go on Instagram and go on TikTok and just put it out there. And whatever video you get the most in feedback from, that is your path. And I thought to myself, that is very interesting. That's weird. Where did that come from? What? Is that spirit? It was a whole lot of stuff, because inside here wasn't also clear, and it wasn't sure. Right? Even though I was showing up and I was being still amazing Sumi, but Sumi on the inside still had a little bit of struggle. So what did I do? I decided, okay, I'll just put everything out there. And one of these videos came back with like 300,000 views or something. And I thought, oh, I've always embodied this. This is like who I am anyways on the inside sometimes, and I don't want people to see. Like, it's this sensual, amazing, nurturing. All she likes to talk about is sex. Like, It excites her. She doesn't really like to do the act as much, but she likes to talk the act. How about we just, hone in on that? And I thought to myself, oh, that has always been my path. Why have I never accepted this about myself? That's where I come from. That's how I got here. Why do we all shy away from the sensual part of ourselves? It's coming up now for every single person in the universe, because that is the basics. That is your foundation. So we all got to go back to the mother. How did we get here? What's the beginning? Right? So it's a lot of sensuality right now that's coming out of us. And some of us that are hypersensitive, it's coming out to like the roof of the top of the roof, whatever that's called. And, again, the question, who am I? The answer is usually in the unknown. The answer is in the, I don't know, I'm confused, so I'm just going to do all three of them and just put it out there and see what happens. I'm just going to talk to this person in this area. In this area, I'm going to write and just journal with it. So put it into writing and make it something and make it more concrete. And over there, maybe I'm just going to write it into a paper and put it in a box. Whatever the idea comes to you. The more we actually act it out is actually how it comes into fruition. Once you get that idea, you have to act it out. It's the reason why so many of us are frustrated with life and not wanting where to go and what's happening. It's like confusion. So when we continue to center in on, okay, yes, these things are happening in the world, but back to my heart. How am I right now? Who am I? What is my name? How did I get here? What if I'm nothing? Is it really a big deal? Always taking a deep breath. All right, I'm going to stop there because I'm like...
I love that. No, I love it, Sumi, because I remember our conversation off line, and we were just talking about like this, exactly what you're doing now. And I said, girl, if you feel like doing it, do it. Like, and that's always, I'll be your biggest cheerleader, whoever you are, wherever you are. If you feel called to do something, try it out, girl. Do it. Make it happen. And I love it because you already had your own inner knowing. So I don't even want to say you called me for like validation or confirmation. You just needed a space to let it out and just like get it out of your mind, get it out of your heart, and just really like let it be seen. And then from there, you took action. And what I love is I'm witnessing Sumi in her light. Sumi like express from the space of liberation, of inspiration, of like, this is what I want to share. And I love it because even, I think when we talk about like in the realm of sensuality, sex and things of that, this world has made it so raunchy. They have made it so like, just like distasteful. So a lot of times people, when they even think about or hear that word, they cringe up because they're like, ooh, no, of what they may have experienced growing up, what they may have seen, or even what the world has fed them to perceive and to be. But our approach of not just, I won't even limit it to sex or something, like it's just you expressing in a way that is making people who hold that space of shame, judgment, or guilt about a part of themselves that is natural, like you said, that is like the basic of how we came into this universe through the portal. You're giving them that space to find that inner confidence, to find their inner, like, their ground themselves in knowing that it's okay to express yourself in all ways. And you don't have to limit yourself into a certain way. In this way, you gotta just sneak around, creep around, and hide it, and you're allowing people to become liberated and free. That's what I receive when I see your content. That's what I receive when I see you just showing up, dancing it out, shaking it out. Like, I'm like, yes, Sumi, she is living in her truth and letting herself just share her light. And I always will either DM you or comment, like I would tell you, like, I love seeing you share your light. It makes my heart smile because so many people are stuck in this dark space of self-judgment. So they'll want to do something, but they never will do it or explore it because they're so worried, once again, how the world will perceive them. what they're gonna say about them, what they're gonna think about them. So they'll want to, and it'll be a thought, but it never becomes a thing because they won't take action. And then they'll be judging everyone else who is acting on what they truly want to do. So I just love what you're doing because I feel like the shell you're coming out of it. And I don't know if you've ever really been in it, but I feel like you're just like, I have arrived, and she ain't going nowhere. That's what I see and I feel and I hear when I just see you show up, and I love it. I love every bit of it.
Thank you. Thank you. It also calls me back to experience. It's funny because one of the reasons why parts of me wanted to go in a more sensual direction was also because of how holy and beautiful and spiritual everybody saw me. I portrayed, oh, she's a good, loving, small, itty bitty girl. Oh, she's amazing and she's sweet. And for some reason, that frustrated me because I knew that was all a lie. And I would always be like, bitch, if only they knew who the fuck they were messing with. Yeah, the thug, the little bit of thug that I have never seen before was somewhere there that wanted to express her way in such a beautiful, expression way that the idea of maybe you need to go the very left and the very extreme, which is sensuality, because nobody wants to talk about it. How about you become a sacred hoe? So it's
I was trying to laugh quietly, but I couldn't. It hit me physically, so I apologize. Continue.
oh, it is so beautiful. We have terms and terminologies for these things. But if you actually think about it, it's not a bad idea because there are people in these fields that make our world go round. Everybody freaking masturbates. Everybody watches porn. It's just all of those nitty gritties that I sat down one day and I was like, you know what? A little part of me wants to experience this. How about I experience it just a little bit and even see what it is like because I've never thought about it before, which is back to the basics. The answer is in the unknown because I didn't know. And now it's becoming a whole big world and it's exposing me to, wow, that existed. Holy shit, there's a fetish like that? Oh my God, what else is in there? It's like a whole world. And it is the not knowing so much that's exciting at the same time because you already have a basics foundation of knowing, of knowledge. You know you're here on earth to be a soaker of. You soak things up. That's what we all do. We soak this a little bit. We sponge that out. It's like soaking and squeezing all day long. So helping us to just calm the fuck down. Because the answer is right there in front of us. Yeah.
I love this, Sumi, and it's funny, mostly to me because I remember when we were first starting to have you on, and you would say that you are that person who will ask the questions like about sex. Before I was like, and I was just like, okay, yeah, this is who she is. And then you started actually like putting your content out there, and you're switching up your name and like really stepping into it. And I was like, yes, like it just seemed like a natural unfoldment from my perspective of the story. You feel me? So to hear your side of you were questioning this, like you felt like you were hiding it, like I wasn't picking up any of that. But that's how wonderful it is to have a space like this because a lot of us see people out in the world doing bold things or being very adventurous or doing what we want to be doing, and we don't realize like they had this questioning period, like they were not sure if this was the thing that they wanted to give their time to, like Raymel was talking about earlier, mastery. Like, they weren't sure if that's something that they wanted to go for. But then they reached out to somebody and were like, hey, someone I trust, not just some random person, right? Someone I trust. I'm thinking about doing this thing. What are your thoughts? What is your feeling on it? And they're like, yes, do it. The world needs it. Shine your light. And then they stepped into it and they shown up, and we were like, wow, I love this person. I love what they're doing. And that's why it's so wonderful to hear from you, Sumi, because I would have never thought you had these questions or doubts or anything. And I think that's really rich for people to hear, especially as we're talking about living in purpose and like stepping away from other people playing our life. Because
Yeah.
I remember when I first started being the artist, and it was like this major thing for me because throughout my life I was not that person. I was very like academics and athleticism. Those are like my two things, and it was kind of funny and cute. So like those are the things that I was working with, and then I got into culinary stuff. I got into restaurants, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna open a restaurant. People were like, ooh, that's a great idea. But when I went to Speak and Write and I was telling people like I would like to support people with processing their emotions through art, and people were like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. You should do that." I was like, "For real? Can I do that? Can I be that? Like, are you sure? Do I have permission?" And it was a beautiful shift because even as I've like kind of unfolded more into the unknown of my expression, that part of me isn't so predominant, but the muscle of opening up and allowing myself to be that and to really dedicate to that, um, it let me know like there are even more possibilities for me, right? Like Sumi was saying, there's so much in the unknown, and what was coming up for me was that we are infinite, so everything is unknown. We could literally be anything under any circumstance, any situations, from any situation or circumstance. We have infinite potential. That literally means you can be anything. You want to be a tree. You can find a way to be a tree in a way that satisfies you. If you want to be a sacred hoe, you can be that in a way that satisfies you. If you want to be a mountain climber guide, you can be that in a way that satisfies you. And you don't have to go to Mount Everest and live with the people in the Himalayas or whatever to be that. You can be a hike leader in your town, right? Like, there are ways to do the things that we want to do when we open ourselves up to knowing we are infinite beings. And I'll end it. That felt complete. Yeah.
What's really coming through for me, I'm just loving this conversation. I love our space because we start from the right to the left to the middle to the we go everywhere. But that's the beauty is because conversation brings so much out. Oh wait, that you're just like, ooh, let's talk about this, talk about that. But what's really coming through for me is how a lot of times people won't allow themselves to like really explore outside of what that plan is. And once again, I just like to always reiterate because Sister Angelique and I were doing something yesterday, and we got into the conversation of like how people will be like in their 80s, and they're still, in a sense, like would never have pursued something that they wanted to do, so they hide in this window of like shame, or stay in this behind this door of shame of never pursuing it, never doing it, so they just settle. And I think for me, like I see a lot of people who have been forced to settle unconsciously, but then it became conscious, like, wait, I never tried, I never did, and now I feel like it's too late, so now I'm just gonna just say the story of, oh, it's not in the cards for me, or it's not possible for me, or it wasn't in the plan for me. And a lot of times they see, and I see this daily, y'all, like from the grocery stores to certain spaces I go to, and I've seen people who have been there for years, and it ain't like they going anywhere. The grocery store, some of those workers have been there for 20 plus years, and they're gonna retire there. But every time I go there, they're complaining about their manager, they're complaining about their customers, they're complaining about the coworkers. They're just in this energy of complaint, but they ain't going nowhere. And being that they're in a grocery store, they're protected by a union. So in reality, like to lose their job is hard because the union protects them. But the fact that they are protected by their union, they won't ever go outside of that job. So they'll be stuck in the wage that they're making. They'll be stuck in the routine. A lot of them people commute like 2 hours to get to work.
Crazy.
And
I used to visit.
No judgment, but I'm seeing real life examples. If you don't allow yourself to explore, to get familiar with just not knowing what's outside of what you're comfortable with, you'll be stuck in that cemented space mentally thinking this is all that I have access to. And a lot of people have so much that they want to bring to life, so much that they want to give life to, whether it's a creation, whether it's a thing that they're just curious about and they want to tap into. And a lot of people won't give themselves that ability to even explore it because they're afraid that it won't work out. I think the biggest fear, what I'm discovering a lot of people have, is not even for themselves, but for everyone else. Because a lot of people don't want to look like a failure to others. So it's really, if they judge me, if they don't validate me, then it ain't worth doing. Wow. And at one point I was there, so I know how it feels like, but I had to get out of there because it didn't feel good for me. And when I tell you it's so freeing when you just allow yourself to not give a damn what nobody says, what nobody thinks, and what nobody's projections are, like you have this weight off your shoulder. And for me, like that's come to me in so many forms of how I express myself now, from my physical appearance to my internal state of like being somewhere and I can just be in the noise and still be in the quiet of the peace from within myself. Like there's been so many ways that I've been able to practice just being in this world but not of the world. And as I'm in that practice, I'm realizing that the world needs more examples. They don't need people telling them what to do. They don't need no one trying to like condemn them for doing what they want to do. They just need to see a possibility within you, and then that gives them the spark of just of knowing like, well, shit, maybe I can do that myself. Maybe I can do myself. If they did it, that means that maybe I can do it. And if we be the example, it speaks louder than any words that we can ever say. And I'll let it there.
Yes.
I
just want to say something. I see how it hit her, but I just want to say on that point of being an example, one of the things I've appreciated most about pushing through to publish my book myself is people saying, oh, I could do this too, or I have a book and this inspired me to like get my stuff rolling and moving forward. So yeah, whatever the example is that you can be, like people will pick it up and you don't have to like force yourself to be out there and be like, I'm gonna be an example. It'll happen naturally. But Sumi, yes, address that look.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's a bunch of things that are coming up. Bunch of stuff coming up. Something that Raymel said that triggered my going back into why I chose this path for myself. And I found myself asking myself the question one day. I said, well, what exactly is this thing? Well, all we are doing right now, me and you and us, we've never really met in the flesh. Like, you don't even know that I exist. This might be AI.
I don't know.
Right? Like, who cares, you know? We only know that we exist when we actually stand in front of each other, touching each other. Okay, yes, handshake, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's real. Then there is more familiarity. Okay, let's talk about OF workers. And, you know, it's totally extreme, but I love extreme examples. All they're doing is sitting in front of the screen. Everybody watches porn. we go on several sites all the time and we do our stuff in the secret without people watching us, and we see different things, and it's the same body part. Usually it's the same because you can't remember what this person's body part looks in respective of this other person. It's all body parts. Nobody puts it and be like, this one is shaped that. Like, it's a bunch of them, is what I'm trying to say. So somebody then decides, this is what I want to do for work. But they are sitting in front of a screen. Okay? We're not really like touching. It's a screen. Why can't, it's funny how people cannot sit to really think about things from the perspective of what exactly is happening. Can we go back to the basics of what are we selling here? What are we doing? It's just a freaking screen. Calm the fuck down. Back again to the basics. It's not a big deal. Nothing is. At the end of the day, it's a screen. And just because I decide to show my pooch does not mean it's a freaking end of the world. Are you going to recognize it when I open it again to you next week? Or never? What if that person opens up and that person opens up and it's a gazillion of them? How can you tell the difference? Back to the basics. It's not a big deal. You get it? It's not a big deal.
I just thought about when they're doing the lineup and they're trying to pick who the It wasn't me. I never said.
Like, I love analysis. It's crazy. I love the way my mind works because this Sumi right now would never have this thought again. I have the ability to also sit in myself in spirit and say, okay, this moment I want to be this. I just want to do it because I can and because it's stupid. Everybody that does it, they hate them. I don't care if people hate me. I mean, I used to hate myself. And I remember when I hated myself, it wasn't, all bad either because it was also an experience and I needed to experience it to be this now.
Mm.
So, big deal. I can choose to experience it at this point in time because the fuck, it's an experience. Who cares? That's why we're here. We're here to not freaking know. We're here to just sit and observe and experience. Spirit will nudge you when you need to be nudged, to pick up the computer, to go to the place, to meet the person. You will get nudged.
Mm-hmm.
You've been getting nudged the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
What's really coming strong for me, and it's in alignment with Sister Angelique was sharing of we're all expressions of source and we are none of the things that we attach to. And even as I come to really understand that everything is God experiencing itself through us to have that experience. So if everything is God, everything is source, whatever you label that, I feel like people hear that word and they're and it's just a word, but whatever you call that higher power, it's experiencing itself through you. It's expressing itself as you. And it wants to experience all of life. That's why I love that you said that. So it's everything's an experience. It's what we came in this physical human form to experience. Every part of life. And I feel like we get lost in this idea that certain parts of life experiences are what we call good, and certain parts of life experiences are what we call bad. And if you're in the good portal, or the good pool, I should say, you're living the righteous life, you're living a life of purpose and doing all the right things. But if you're in the bad pool, you're not living a purposeful life, you're not doing the right things, and you're not being a good person. And if everything is source, everything is that living as you, expressing itself through you, then there is no good or bad. It's just, for me, if I have to label something good or bad, which I don't really like to do, but for me, it would be bad for me to not allow myself to have all of life's experiences because I'm worried about how others will perceive the experiences I'm having. Mm-hmm. Because then I'm robbing myself. A lot of people come into this physical form and they don't do half of the things that they want to do. I don't even like to say they do a quarter of the things that they want to do because they're so worried about, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look this way. I don't want, and that's where They never try, they never apply, they never do. And then those who are, as we're seeing, like you said, it's just a screen and just the things that people are doing that we will condemn. It's like, but they live and they experiencing it, and that message has been coming through me strong. Is that live life, because for one, we're only here for a short time, not a long time. This universe has been around for 14 billion years, and it's forever expanding and evolving. So our little window of time that we're here, if it's 20, 30, 40, 100, it's nothing. So it's like, why are we restricting ourselves from really allowing ourselves to do what we came to do and be that expression? As long as for me, whatever I'm doing is rooted in love and it's grounded in love, it can never be wrong what I choose to do. But if I'm doing it, even like how you share, like if people hate you, what I love about the awareness I have now is your hate towards me has nothing to do with me. It's all about you, and you're projecting what you don't want to see and face within yourself onto me. But I ain't got to take it. I ain't bought it. I don't have space for it. I don't even have a way for it to land on this plane. So you can just redirect it to somewhere else. And much for me, like having that knowing, because I used to get a lot of slack for my sexuality. I used to get a lot of slack for me being more feminine than other guys. And I used to really try to be that chameleon. And once I stopped giving a damn what people thought about me or how they wanted me to be, and I'm like, this is me. For one, I started to get more love than I received ever, because people were like, damn, you just cool. You just like, you're just like, just being you. And when I stopped trying to be others, because y'all, and I've said it before, I used to be, what it do? Like, I tried to be this hard, thug little guy who was never who I was, but that was who my father was. He gang banged. He was this hard, like, street dude. And being his firstborn, I thought I had to be like him. And I can never be like him because from a child, my wrist was broke, y'all. Like, it was it was broke. And I used to try to hold it up like, yo, what it do? And it was like, what it do? Nothing. And I had to honor the brokenness of the wrist. I had to honor that I wasn't as masculine as other guys. I had to honor that. And the more I started to honor that, I realized that the worry I had was not even about me honoring me. It was me so worried about honoring what others wanted. So I just love that we're just sharing this right now, because a lot of people need to hear this. I'm a lot of people. I need to hear this. And I just love that we're able to speak about it in the seriousness, but then let the playfulness happen too, because why do we take life so serious? It's just a game that we're playing anyway. So why do we got to make sure we are doing it all right versus do it whatever way you feel called to. Just make sure that you're doing it with love. And I'll end it there.
And on that note of doing it for love, what came up for me was how the work that Sumi is doing around sensuality and sexual expression, that's needed. Like, that's a healing. And as someone who has been in LA for over 10 years and seen these girls and ladies of the night up and down the street on Western, you know, I know most of them are not doing that with love. But the work of sexual expression is still needed. That's what that shows me. There are people out here in the world who are not sure how to manage their sexual energy. So they go lurking around corners, giving people eyebrows and flashing lights, trying to figure out how to express that energy. And they're doing it in a way that perpetuates toxicity. And it doesn't heal them. It only infects that wound even more. And so when there's someone beautiful and grounded and spiritual like Sumi out here offering a space and a place for people to explore and express that sexual energy, that is healing us all collectively. And we're not saying like every person, every black woman needs to go out here on the internet or out into the world being a sacred hoe. No. This is something that she decided, that came up for her, that spirit nudged her to do. And if you are feeling some sort of nudge in your own sort of way, then listen, do it. Check out her content, get inspired. But if it's something you're like, oh, I'm not really interested in this. Like she's saying, everybody watch porn. I don't watch porn anymore. I'm not interested. I have seen plenty. And like she said, there are some things I uncovered and unwrapped and discovered, and I was like, okay, I will just delete that. But I don't have that desire anymore because I've learned how to tap into my energy and recognize sexual exchange as an energy exchange. And I don't want to look at a screen to do that. I don't feel it like I have to do that to process that energy anymore. Right? And I'm not saying that it's not of service to people. I'm saying just for me, just being clear. And also with that, there are certain ideas that I've had about doing sex work, and I've mentioned that here. And then I was like, oh, this is work, and I don't want to do it. It's not of interest to me. But I still snap up my sisters and my men who do it, my non binary people who are out there doing this work. And like Raymond said, if you're doing it with love, then it really truly doesn't matter what anybody else says. But if you feel like you are not doing it with love, then take that moment of self reflection and see what it is that you really want to do. So, yeah, that's what was coming up for me with that.
Show me what you got to share.
Um, Not really that much. It's been a lot of love on my part, and I really do just want to dive in, the unknown aspect, to have us just relax. A bunch of things are not the way we see it, because a lot of it is exaggerated. A lot of things are exaggerated. Let's hone in on sitting still, breathing, and just listening more to the stillness, the nothingness, the quiet moment. That's where the answer is. And we need to learn to do that. That's the energy that I'm picking from our audience right now.
Because I feel like there's a lot of noise that is getting louder, which is causing a lot of people to be distracted from even like discovering what lights me up, what excites me, what fulfills me, versus what do I feel like I have to do to survive, that I have to do just to get by. And that's where a lot of people have been in that survival mode, because this world makes you feel like we lack things. This world makes you feel like there isn't enough. So you got to get it while the getting is good. And that's where this hustle culture and this belief that things will run out, so you have to get it before the next person does to make sure that you get it at all. And I love that you're just speaking to the stillness and just really taking that moment to breathe. There's so much power in breath. Whenever I am feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling cluttered in the mind, or I'm just feeling like out of alignment, it's so much power in just taking that moment and just going and just breathing out. Even if I'm feeling irritated, that supports me through irritation. Okay, frustration is breath. And a lot of times we respond when we're able to just be quiet, still, and just let those things pass through, versus us wanting to just be in the reactiveness. And even knowing like that tough skin that we often build, at one point it served you, but I feel like the tough skin starts to shed from you when you start to embrace the skin that you're in, and not what others have like made you feel like you have to be or protect yourself from. Because for me, I had tough skin for a while. Like I knew how to close my heart because I didn't want to get hurt. So the tough skin protected me. It was like that, the turtle shell, which a lot of times I describe myself as a turtle, but the turtle shell, because I can just hide there and you can throw whatever it is and it ain't hitting me. So that was like my protector. But once I realized I didn't need to protect myself, I just needed to honor myself. And through that honoring, I didn't have to fight. I didn't have to prove. I didn't have to force you to see me in a certain way. I just had to be. And through that being, there's so much power because you're able to be the highest expression of yourself. You're able to be your true, authentic self. And through that being, you're irritating a lot of people because a lot of people don't feel like they have the ability to be themselves. So a lot of times when you ask who you are, people don't know. They know what they've been taught, what they've been accustomed to doing, but they don't know who that is for themselves. And speaking from experience, that was me. I didn't know who I was. And if I'm being truthful, I'm still discovering that. Because there's parts of me who has so many facets of like, or just different ways I like to express myself that I found that when I was in certain environments, that's why I used to call myself a chameleon, because in certain environments, I knew how to adapt and adjust. I knew how to be the intellectual. I knew how to be the ghetto. I knew how to be I knew how to be it all. But then I'm like, but it's not really, it's the difference between, or for me, I should say, for a difference from me, like, allowing all parts of me to express or be expressed versus me feeling like I had to express in certain ways to be able to feel comfortable or safe in environments. And I had to emerge from that. I had to really allow myself to honor my light is what's coming through for me. Honor my light and not dim it because others couldn't handle my shine. And even as we're speaking to sticking to the plan or not releasing the plan and allowing yourself just to be in that purposeful, purpose living space, I had to honor like even the powers that I hold. Because y'all, like, I used to dim down and talk down and dumb down my powers, my gifts, because I've been in spaces where I've been attacked or I've been talked about or condemned. So I'm like, I don't want to let y'all know so there can be a repercussion. So I didn't express all of what I knew I could do. And like now, even to this day, I'm owning them. I know I have a gift to read energies. I can read minds. I know how to like do all the things. But it's like when people are not in that space of open and willing to try to understand you, they judge you. Or they think you are trying to like put on and so I no longer like explain my gifts to people. I just do them. Like I can be in front of somebody and I know exactly what they're thinking without them having to tell me. Even what they're saying, I read between it. I'm like, I already know. And a lot of times I do know. And then when they tell me, I just act so surprised, like, oh my God. No, in my head, like, girl, I already know that. I already knew that, but I don't want to bust your bubble and not like let the excitement of sharing it. So I just act like so surprised, but there's so much that we have to give, and a lot of times we don't allow it. Hey, Mujeres, Sister Mujer. I'll let it there for right now.
Yeah. What was coming up for me was actually two things. Um, the part about having the tough skin and like how I've been working on that around my relationships, period. I was gonna say romantic, but just in general, I recognized that I had a layer of defense when it came to interacting with straight men, and I had to work with somebody on unpacking that and recognizing where that came from, because what spirit told me is that this skin, to continue with what we're saying here, this tough skin is keeping you from having a relationship where you can feel soft, because you're not already in that space of softness. You're walking around like ready to chop somebody in the throat low key, even though you've done all this inner work, there's this seed between you that you have when it comes to relationships or interacting with men. And so I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to work through and process that. And it's still something I am unfolding, but I'm grateful that I came into the awareness of that. And then what was also coming up for me was how, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, it's interesting that we were talking about Raymel talking to his person that was helping him get more clarity and get his plans together, right? And now we're saying, like, don't worry about the plans, just stick to your purpose. And that duality just kind of hit me while we were talking, because I think there's a difference between going into the unknown and allowing yourself to find clarity in there as you're, adventuring and exploring, versus having like a plan and a guideline and sticking to it as if it's the only thing that exists, and I really appreciate clarity. I love having clarity. It's one of the most releasing and comforting parts of this experience for me, because feeling foggy or, even when I am in the unknown and I'm enjoying it, I'm still like, I kind of want to, I know what's going on a little bit, a little bit of something shining through the clouds. And I think often we get so, like, just attached, just to one thing. And when we don't let go, it really does keep us from the actual clarity that we need. Like we've been talking about Raymel, he was in that kind of foggy space, but then he sat down, had this conversation, and it opened up his eyes. It helped him to be clear. It inspired him to get into action. Like, that's different than I have this plan and I'm feeling stuck and I don't know and I'm feeling hesitant, but I have this plan and I'm gonna keep going with it, but I don't want to change it, but I don't really feel aligned with it. Like, those energies are very different. So it's like when we have that clarity, when we have that inspiration, really leaning into that, and whatever unfolds from that, enjoy it, right? But don't feel like, okay, this was my point of clarity and I just have to stay on this one path. Because that's what, listen, I'm not going to get on this whole thing, but that's what happened with Christians and Jesus. He was like, we have connection to God, we have infinite possibilities, I am the way, the truth, and the light, because I and the Father are one, like you and the Father are one. We are all the light of God. We are all children of God. You're going to do even better, more amazing, miraculous things than I am. I'm so excited for you. And people are like, just follow Jesus. Just look at Jesus. Look at how he died for us. Look at how he came back and he saved us from our sins. We're only going to do Jesus. And everybody else can literally burn in hell. That's crazy. I know I offended somebody. But that's really wild. And I've been coming into that awareness a lot more recently, of just how much people have taken the light of the Christ, of a Christ, Jesus, Yeshua ben Joseph, and made it into this very harsh political, like, separatist thing, when the whole point, if you actually read the words, and take it in, not literally, right? Because they are lessons, they are parables and allegories. They're all about building your relationship with your divinity and then using that expression of divinity to go out into the world and create those further expressions of divinity like we've been talking about. The whole point was I'm an expression of God. I'm a light of God and I can do miracles. I can pull fish out the sea. I can find money. I can turn water into wine. Like I get to do all these expressions because I am God expressing. And I think it's just really hitting me so hard right now because we're having this conversation. Like we get so caught up on plans, on relationships. Raymel said that earlier. He was like, I gotta end with the ones I started with. No, you don't. You do not. Let me tell you, news flash, public service announcement. Just because they started with you doesn't mean that they're gonna end with you. And that's okay. Because the one that you need to end with is yourself. And if you're 80 years old and you're regretting all the things that you didn't allow yourself to do, you are leaving yourself. You already left yourself. Even though I got all my whole Rolodex of contacts, all the people I've known and from elementary school, they're still here if they're not, transitioned. But where are you? And I'll end that there.
But where are you?
And who are you? Because that's the question that's been rolling through the conversation today, too. Who am I? Right.
We are meat.
We are meat.
meat and blood and flesh.
Meat.
And water.
And water. Just like turkey, just like the lion, just like the antelope, just like the snake. So for me, when I see myself as that, it makes it easy. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go open an OnlyFans account real quick. And just, after all, I am just meat. Because if this meat is no more, it goes down 6 feet below and poof, they're probably gonna cry a day or 2 or 3. It's just meat, right? So what can I do now that I have this information? Yes, I'm not demeaning myself because that's how I get to understand the way that I am, right? So if I'm not gonna place so much importance on myself, what the fuck is wrong with just me living life right now? What's wrong with that? Why do I have to wait till this certain time or age for me to live my life? Why can't I get to do whatever it is that I want to do right now? After all, there's a person up there that got to do what they did. They started as this, and now they are up in this manner, and everybody still loves them. Even though they used to be a hoe 20 years ago, and now all of a sudden, poof, she's no longer a hoe. Now she's a singer, or now she's a this, or now she's a that. Like, what the fuck? So it already exists. If whatever it is that you want to become already exists, look at that and be like, wow, that person did it, this person did it, and so can I. So it makes things then simplified, where you no longer have to like make it so ambiguous, so big that you can't choose what is what. It makes it easier. It makes it more simple. So again, back into our, spirit self, back into taking deep breaths and just learning to live one day at a time.
And knowing that it's okay just to be. One thing that you said, Sister Angelique, in regards to like the religion and then that plan of, because I feel like that is probably like our next conversation we'll probably have to bring to, because I feel like there's so much power and those conversations, so much healing. But even on, I like to bring awareness to just certain things, and I feel like a lot of us we're unaware that this world we live in, it had a plan. It had a plan to control. It had a plan to manipulate. It had a plan to separate. It had a plan that is being executed. And a lot of times we're unaware that the people who created the plan did such a beautiful job in planning it that they have now delegated the execution of that plan to the common people, which they have now gathered as beliefs. And when they believe it, they fight for it. They will kill you about it. They will harm you. They will judge you. They'll do all the things to execute this plan that they don't even know that they're executing. And the people not who created this world, but who created the separation and the disempowerment of others in this world, they are now, we're seeing like how that plan doesn't really make sense. Because a lot of people who are waking up, it's like, why do I gotta pray to a sky? Why do I gotta talk to it? Why do I gotta feel like I'm under a microscope 24/7? And something is looking down on me saying, oh, you open the OnlyFans, you're going to hell. Oh, you're gay, you're going to hell. Oh, you're doing this, you're going. And it's like, why do I have to believe this to be true? Why do I have to live my life thinking like, damn, I can't even fart and am I going to hell for farting? Like, is that going to be a part of my... I ate chili cheese fries last night. Like, I'm sorry, creator. I'm sorry. But I say that because that is what the plan was, for you to feel like you were under this big microscope, that if you did anything that was not within this plan of who we tell you you are, what we tell you to do, and how we tell you to be, then you're condemned, then you're judged, then you're going to be reprimanded. And a lot of people are so afraid of this plan that these people had that are executing very well, that they're not living their life and they're not tapping into their purpose. They're not even wanting to explore what that is, because they think that, well, I have to abide by this plan, aka this book that has a lot of wisdom. And it's not just that one book, because there's different variations of that book depending on what your practice is. But they kind of made it so instilled in the mind that if I'm not sticking to your plan, then I'm not living a fulfilled, holy, God-living life. So I'm just worthless, I'm purposeless, and I'm just existing. And a lot of people are just under this hypnosis that I have to worship someone. And a lot of people are worshiping a man, they're worshiping a thing. But worship yourself. Because if you're an expression of this image of this source, then you should be worshiping you. And worshiping you is really honoring you, expressing you, doing what really feels that you feel called to do, in whatever way that is. And that's where we release this judgment. We release this idea that I'm better than you because I'm working a certain job or doing a certain thing. And if you're not doing that, then you're under me or you're beneath me. And it's like, once we awaken more to seeing that we have the ability to break the plan of what this world makes us feel like we have no power or control over, then we start to liberate ourselves. We start to take those shackles off that we actually put on ourselves. They didn't put the shackles on us. We put it on ourselves because we've been given a key, but we're saying, no, keep me locked up because something in the sky is telling me that I'm not doing the right thing. So I just want to stay in prison. But we didn't realize that we never were that. We just kind of took that on and believed that, and now we're living our life as though that is true. But once you realize that you have so much power, if you exist, if you're breathing, if you're having this human experience in this now moment, there's so much that life wants to express through you. And as we were saying earlier, whatever way that is, there's no limitation, because there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no good, there is no bad. And when people hear that, they go into the worst case scenarios of, what about the people who are dying, or the babies? And make it mean that if that's what you want to make it mean. But the reality is everything is energy. And energy is just energy, and it's always in transmutation. So if you put meaning that this energy that's transmuting is this, that's what you create. But it doesn't mean that that has to be my truth. And it doesn't mean that it has to be my fight. It doesn't have to be my battle, because I don't choose to transmute my energy in that way. And that's where we get to have grace and understanding, because right now we need more of that right now. People are trying to figure life out day by day. And nobody has it figured out. If we are being truthful, none of us have been in this physical form beyond this time that we're in now, though we may have had different human experiences. But what's today? May 9th, or what is today?
The 10th.
May 10th, 2025. I ain't never had this experience before. Because tomorrow's going to be a new day, a new experience. So when we embrace the day, we embrace the moment, we embrace just being in this life, we get to live it to the fullest. And whatever that fullest expression of living life is for you, do it. That's why, like, when Sumi, we talked, and I'm like, she's like, I'm thinking about exploring this and doing this. Girl, do it. I'm the cheerleader for everyone. I'll be at the gym when someone want to do something. I'm like, do it. Make it happen. What you doing? Because why not? I don't know if I'm going to be here an hour from now. And I'm not trying to predict my transition, but I literally don't know. That's why Sumi and we've been speaking, the unknown, we don't know. We don't know what this next minute is going to bring. It can be a massive earthquake that happens and just make this building crumble. I don't know it. So if you really think about it, we're literally living our life in an unknown space. We don't know what the next moment brings. But what I do know is how I show up in the moment that I'm having is my choice. Anything beyond that, I can't control that. So we allow ourselves just to declutter ourselves energetically, holding on to emotions that we've been hoarding, that's making us not have the courage to believe, have the courage to pursue, have the courage to do. When we declutter the fog from our mind, because without, I like to say, a foggy mind is like driving a car that you can't see through the windshield. You don't know where you're going. So if you declutter the mind, you start to wipe off the little smur on the window, and you can see a little, and it just gives you the sense of peace. Because at least you don't know the whole road, but at least I can see some of it, so at least I know I can see a little where I'm going. I don't know exactly where I'm being taken to, but at least I can see it. You don't need the plan. You just need to know that I'm okay. Everything is okay. It's going to be okay. And that can be the grounder that gets you there in the form of peace. But I don't need to know when I'm on the plane. I don't know every cloud they hitting. I don't know how the clouds they hitting up in the sky. Okay, so you're going to go to the left cloud, to the right cloud. Oh, and then we're going to go through a bunch of, I don't know. I'm just on that plane going for the ride. I don't know where I'm going until it says you landed. In between that, I can't see. I don't even want to see. So just allow yourself to be on this plane of life and let life lead you. When we buy our ticket, we know we're going to New York or Texas or Arizona or New Mexico or Mexico. We know that. But anything else, we don't know. So this is tied into what we've been speaking about. The purpose is to live, to allow life to express. Do what you feel called to with no limitations, because the limitations will be the prison that you stay stuck in. So just allow yourself just to explore, to do, and be whoever you want to be, because y'all, we're infinite, limitless, abundance being. So like Sister Angelique said, if you want to be a tree, be the best damn tree that you can be. I was at an appointment on Thursday, and I forget that they ask you pronouns now, like as a part of the process. So when she asked me, I'm like, what? And I was like, what if I told her I'm a dog? My pronoun is dog.
Pronoun is a wolf, Barb.
I didn't say it, but just thinking, like, you can literally be that. And what they gonna say? No, you're not. Yes, I am.
You are.
So I'm just saying, be what you feel called to, do what you feel called to, live your life for you. Because if you don't, someone else is going to do it for you. And you're not going to be happy. Just saying. Land it there.
Yes. Do you have any closing words, Sumi?
Yeah, something that you had said there about religion and, the different spaces within that. And what's coming up for me there, just really short, is that everything is a construct. Everything is like a level. Kind of like how we've got the government, we have religion over here, we have the porn industry over there, we got AI over here. So everything is like its own country, for example. So when you see all of these things as experiences or as happenings or as just them being the way that they are, just as you are the way you are with all of your different parts. You got a head, you got a middle section, we all have legs. Just it's very similar to that when you compartmentalize things that way, where, okay, if my legs are the way they are and my head is the way it is, I didn't make it, it just was. We are able to see that everything is as well. When you see that, it helps you not think too much about what's good and what's bad. Because at the end of the day, what's good and what's bad as well are also on their own world. And it's all in here. Sometimes you're good and sometimes you're bad. So at the end of the day, it all is just one big giant puzzle that we really do not need to worry ourselves about. Whatever you have that has brought you up till this moment is absolutely going to take you to the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment, where you don't necessarily have to kill yourself too much to get to the next moment, because you already have it. And it makes a lot more sense as you hone in on, your practices of stillness. It makes a lot more sense. And there is more that's going to come into light here for a bunch of us this month, May and June, probably the first week of June. But yeah, it's a lot of shifts, and it's beautiful energies this past couple of weeks. I'm like out of the world with these energies. It's exciting, very exciting.
Yeah. So what I'll say in closing, as we wrap this up, this has been a wonderful conversation. I really do appreciate this space and just the ways we get to open up. But I'll close with just a reminder, kind of like Sumi said, we're meat, we're energy, and that energy is condensed into meat, and we're not this meat. We can cut off a finger. Some of us don't have legs. So some people don't have legs or arms, but that's just a beautiful testament that who we are and what we are is not this meat stuff. But we get to be it, and what we choose and are inspired to do with it, that is completely under the power of us, of the me, right? Of the divine that is us, that is the life in us. And if you choose to live a life that other people are not proud of or agreeing with, that's okay. But if you're living a life that you are not proud of and that you don't agree with, I would dare to say that's not okay. You should do some investigating and maybe go with this shifting energy that Sumi is talking about and bringing out for us. Because there is a light in you that the world needs. And it only comes when we allow ourselves to live authentically in that. So, yes, we appreciate y'all. Anything you want to drop, Raymel, before we say goodbye? See you next week.
Huh?
I said, anything you want to say before we say bye?
No, just beautiful conversation, and I just am thankful for you both. Thank you, Sumi, for coming and sharing your light. As always, sharing your wisdom is always appreciated. And y'all, yeah, next week we'll make an announcement. Okay. My phone about to die, and I felt like we were gonna do it today, but next week we're gonna have a special announcement that we will tell you guys about Healing Conversations, new baby that's coming to life. But this week we'll leave that little cliffhanger for you to think about them. What they gonna say? What they gonna tell us? What they gonna tell us?
What
I
is
bet
the
you wanna
gender
know.
of this
You're not gonna
baby?
know. Not today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for joining in. Thank y'all for the love, the engagements, the hearts, all the things. And we will be back next week for another healing conversation.
There you go.
And I'll end it there. Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.